WLRN Public Radio in Miami to discuss redistricting as Florida lawmakers head into a special session to consider congressional districts, something we know a little something about here in Texas. I'm Ernie Manous.
And I'm Celestia Sherman. We'll also dive into today's top stories, including Houston Mayor John Whitmire announcing he's postponing today's special city council meeting to consider repealing the city's new HPD ICE policy.
Plus, we'll also talk with the Executive Director of Inprint, and a poetry busker will write a live poem with us about the importance of public radio. And you'll hear that at the end of our first hour.
And as always, we want to hear from you. Give us a call or send us a text, 713-440-8870.
Hello, Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, by Metro, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. Crude oil prices are down more than 10%, and on Wall Street, major market indices are sharply higher, from 1.5% to over 2%, with the Dow climbing more than 1,000 points. U.S. stocks are rallying following the announcement that the Strait of Hormuz, a key waterway for the globe's oil and gas shipments, is reopening, at least temporarily. President Trump announced it on social media. So did Iran. Here's Duri Buskarin.
In a post on the social media platform X, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said the passage for commercial vessels is, quote, completely open in the Strait of Hormuz for the duration of the ceasefire in Lebanon. Araghchi said ships could use a coordinated route determined by Tehran. That may be a reference to Iran allowing certain vessels to pass through its coastal waters before the U.S. imposed its own naval blockade on the strait. He made no reference to clearing mines in the strait. U.S. President Trump responded with his own posts, saying the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports would continue until negotiations end. For NPR News, I'm Duri Buskarin in Van, Turkey.
The acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement will leave his job at the end of May. Todd Lyons' departure is the latest shakeup at the Department of Homeland Security. NPR's Jimena Bustillo reports Lyons has played a central role in carrying out President Trump's mass deportation policies.
Lyons testified Thursday before House lawmakers to discuss the fiscal year 2027 budget, but the agency is still not funded for fiscal year 2026. That is because Senate Democrats stripped funding for all of the Department of Homeland Security earlier this year after federal immigration officers shot and killed 2 U.S. citizens in Minneapolis. Although some Republicans agree changes are needed, a deal to change how ICE operates has not yet been reached. In statements to NPR, top Trump administration officials praised Lyons' leadership and tenure at ICE. Lyons has been with the agency for nearly 20 years and will leave for a job in the private sector. His last day is expected to be May 31st. Jimena Bustillo, NPR News, Washington.
President Trump has named his choice to lead the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. NPR's Ping Wong with details.
Dr. Erica Schwartz has served as Chief Medical Officer for the Coast Guard and as Deputy Surgeon General in the first Trump administration. She's a preventive medicine doctor and lawyer with a master's in public health from the Uniformed Services University. Admiral Brett Giroir worked closely with her as Assistant Secretary for Health in the first Trump administration.
Her academic training and intellect is second to none. I mean, she's a person of the highest integrity and commitment to service to this country.
Schwartz will now go through the Senate confirmation process, which could take several months. In the meantime, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya will continue to lead both the CDC and the National Institutes of Health. Ping Huang, NPR News.
From Washington, this is NPR News.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Tom Perumian. Houston Mayor John Whitmire scrapped the special city council meeting he had scheduled for today to consider repealing the city's new policy limiting the police department's involvement with ICE. The ordinance prompted a threat by Texas Governor Greg Abbott to terminate $110 million in public safety grants for the city. Nancy Sims is a political activist at the University of Houston.
So by extending the deadline, it gives the mayor more time to work with city council members to find a viable solution.
Shortly after Whitmire's announcement, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton stated that he'd filed a lawsuit against the city and some of its elected officials over its ordinance. A new poll from the Texas Public Opinion Research shows Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton leading Senator John Cornyn by 8 percentage points among likely voters in the Republican Senate primary runoff. The poll shows Paxton appears to be picking up support from voters who backed Congressman Wesley Hunt in the first round of voting. It also indicates that, even if President Trump were to endorse Cornyn, it would not give him enough of a boost to close the gap with Paxton. In sports, the home of the Houston Texans and the Houston Rodeo, NRG Stadium, is returning to its roots. The venue is being rebranded as Reliance Stadium, its original name when it opened in 2002. Megan McConomy is the Vice President of Brand Strategy and Marketing for NRG.
We did do a survey with Reliant customers, and 90% actually supported the change back to Reliant Stadium.
The NRG branding around the stadium has started to be removed, and the name change will officially take place in August. Your check of weather: partly sunny and breezy today with a high near 86. Tonight, mostly cloudy and windy, a low around 71. Right now, mostly cloudy, 80 degrees on the UH campus.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include United States Postal Service, dedicated to putting reliability at the core of USPS Ground Advantage to help businesses operate smoothly. More at USPS.com/Ground Advantage.
Live from Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now your hosts for Hello Houston, Ernie Manous and Celeste Diaz-Sherman.
Well, hello. It is good to be back with you. I had a couple of days off getting some things taken care of, and now here I am with you to wrap up the week.
You're not just here with me, Ernie. I have to say it is not every day, which, one, I'm very happy you're back.
Thank you.
We missed you. I missed you. But it is not every day that I get to sit next to the Media Alliance Houston Star Award winner. Congratulations, Mr. Manous.
Thank you.
No, seriously, Ernie, so well deserved. You truly, coming up in May, you will have been here at Houston Public Media for 30 years, and you won this award. Can you show it off again?
I have it sitting in our little place for them to grab it on camera if they want to see it. And after 30 years, I finally won a Media Alliance Award for Houston
so cool.
as a TV personality.
Well, you were the face of Houston's PBS for a very long time.
Very big face. So it took a lot to... No, I have to tell you, there were wonderful folks in the category with me, and I was genuinely surprised when they announced my name. I was thrilled. I was up against Jacob Rascone and Maggie...
Of which station?
KHOU. Maggie Flecktone over at KIH. Melissa Wilson, who I've known for 1,000 years, and Samika Knight. And so we were the nominees, and the way I look at it is that's the prize there. We got nominated, and that's, it's a luck, what is it called? Luck of the draw, who actually gets the award.
No, Ernie, they vote, and you won, and we're so proud of you. I can honestly say that, It is a privilege to sit next to you every single day, Ernie. And so the fact that I got to, kind of be soft launched on a talk show here is fabulous. So I'm very, very happy. Yesterday when you texted that you won, my kids, Evelyn and Philip, and I all cheered.
I love your kids.
We were very excited for you, Ernie.
Well, it made me very happy to be able to bring this home to the station.
Totally.
It's kind of fun after this many years doing it that some people still think, hey, you are still out there. And I'm like, yes, I'm still out
very
here.
much. You have been a trusted voice, and truly, I would say, almost a pioneer here in Houston when it comes to arts and culture. You really have given a voice to theater and education. You did the spelling bee on PBS for a long time.
10 years, 11 years, yeah.
So yeah, Ernie,
Ernie Manous, this is your life.
Congratulations.
I will tell you that earlier in the day yesterday, I got to do Partners is a group of folks over with UT Health School of Nursing, Cizik School of Nursing. The Partners are a group that comes together to help support scholarship and endowed chairs and all that. And they have their annual luncheon, and they do so much, and they have been so involved with my mom and stuff over the years that I always do their luncheon. And our keynote speaker was Ned Brower, who plays Nurse Jessie on The Pit.
Huge.
Last night was The Pit's season finale.
Yeah.
But he was there, and so I got to do that and hang out with him a bit. And I was reminded of a story, and I just want to take a moment to just thank nurses everywhere. And I told you this story, and I mentioned it from the podium yesterday, and it made me kind of tear up. So I'm going to try and get through it without tearing up.
Yeah. About
how important nurses are. And we think of them, I think, often from the technical position of what they do. They're to nurse and help you. But as we've seen all the time, they are the number one contact with a patient and spend the most time with them. My mom was in the emergency room not that long ago, and she was there, 12, 15 hours before they got her a room. And nobody had fed her. They hadn't fed her. They hadn't gotten the okay from the whatever and however that all works. And I kept saying, can someone please get my mom something to eat? And then it was like, well, it's too late now. The commissary's closed. We can't, blah, blah, blah. They were about to transport her to the room, and one of the male nurses came in there. And I say male nurse because Ned made a whole big thing talking about male nurses. And he came in, and he had gone to the vending machine and bought my mom a sandwich. And I hadn't thought to do it because I didn't know what she could or couldn't have, whatever. And I said, where did you? And he's like, well, I went and bought this for you. And I'm like, you bought it? And he was like, yeah, we got to treat people with dignity and respect. And he gave my mom a sandwich. And it was like, that's what a nurse does. It's not just they give you your pills and they don't just take your temperature. They're thinking about you and caring for you. And they're there in between the visit from the doctors, which can be so brief because they're so overwhelmed. And nurses, they have a hard job and they work hard. And so every year I'm thrilled to be able to help with the scholarships there by hosting that luncheon. And it just reminded me of the work they do. So thank you to all nurses out there.
And Ernie, to your point, your mom is very lucky to have a son who is caring for her as well and is there. There are a lot of seniors who are sitting in a hospital room that the nurse is the only interaction that they will have, that will actually come and care for them. And so I agree. But I also, I'm happy that your mom has you as well.
Oh, well, thank you. And I'm lucky I've got my mom. So she drives me crazy. Don't get me wrong. If you're dealing with this at home and you sometimes feel like, oh, my God, you just want to strangle them. You know what? We're all there. We all have our moments. We try and raise to our higher. But it's just like raising a kid. You talk with me about that all the time too. Yes. We're doing the same thing, but coming at it at two different ends of the spectrum.
Yes, absolutely. And we have been getting quite a few really nice comments and congratulatory comments on YouTube. Ernie, British computer guy says, "What? Congratulations, Ernie. That is awesome." And then I believe GT Steven says, for those keeping tabs, Ernie has 11 Emmy Awards and now TV on-air personality.
Who's keeping track of these besides me? But thank you for that.
And then Wine Goddess Texas says, nurses really provide most of the contact with patient on behalf of the hospital and make all the difference in the world. So if you're a nurse, thank you as well for your services. But yeah.
Thank you very much. And thank you all. And it's good to be back in the chair again with you and getting to do what we do each day.
We are very lucky to do what we get to do.
We have something big coming up today. Explain what we're going to do in the next segment.
Yeah, so we are going to be talking with Tom Hudson. He's the senior economist, economics editor, and special correspondent out of Miami. So he's with WLRN News, and Florida in this specific area is going through a very similar redistricting type situation that we just went through in our District 18. And so we're going to be talking about
just throughout the whole state, the whole call from the president to the governor to say, okay, let's redistrict. And it set off this craziness. Mm-hmm. And they're going through it in Florida right now. But they've got an even more interesting, well, I can't say it's more interesting. Our story was really interesting. And trust me, it's still playing out. Yeah. They are also in a similar interesting situation. And Tom will be able to fill us in on that. And we're going to take your calls and questions and also your bits of advice to help Florida get through what we're just in the process of going through too. So all that's coming up. But as as always, those aren't the only headlines in the world. You've got some new ones for
We
us.
have some new developments. Houston Mayor John Whitmire announced Thursday that he's scrapping the special city council meeting he had scheduled for today to consider repealing the city's new policy limiting the Houston Police Department's involvement in federal immigration law enforcement. The recently passed ordinance prompted a threat by Texas Governor Greg Abbott to terminate more than $110 million in public safety grants for the city. In a statement Thursday, Whitmire said Abbott's office has extended its deadline for repealing the ordinance from Monday, April 20th until Wednesday, April 22nd. Shortly after Whitmire's announcement, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton said he had filed a lawsuit against the city and some of its elected officials over the ordinance. Paxton alleges the ordinance violates Senate Bill 4, passed during the 2017 legislative session. Under SB 4, a local entity, such as the City of Houston, may not adopt, enforce, or endorse a policy that prohibits or materially limits the enforcement of federal immigration laws. Paxton said in a news release announcing the lawsuit. However, Houston adopted a city ordinance that blatantly violates this law. What are your thoughts? Is the new city ICE ordinance worth it, or should it be scrapped? Now is the time to join us on Hello Houston at 713-440-8870.
You folks had a chance to talk with Abby Kamen yesterday. Or the day before. I get confused on my days. But what was her take on this?
We have. I think her take was that Councilmember Alejandra Salinas, really looked at the laws. They looked at other cities within the state that have done something similar, and they made sure that it was going to be constitutionally in order so that this wouldn't happen. So I think that they were feeling pretty strong that they couldn't be, there was going to be very little pushback. I think that they're not necessarily surprised. Councilmember Kamen did say that, they weren't necessarily surprised that the governor was, bringing this up and bringing this to attention. I think they were surprised, however, about him deciding to pull public safety funds. We also you spoke with Houston Police Union President Doug Griffith, and he was saying, and he repeated it again yesterday when Foti and I spoke with him, this is not surprising. This is right on the bell about what they expected, and how this is something that he was warning them about, council members.
So I guess for anyone who wants to join this, is it really worth the city to have these funds? What is the balance here? Should we be worrying about these funds, or should we be worrying about the ICE interaction? We can worry about both, but where do we find the balance? I get the feeling the mayor is pulling back from his support of it, but he also says it was nothing new than what we were already doing. So, but there was argument on that side that no, we were able to detain someone for 30 minutes waiting for ICE to get there. I remember seeing Abby Kamen say that it doesn't mean if there is a threat to the public, they let the individual go.
Correct.
So don't think it's a public safety in that regard.
Right. And I think that to clarify, when we were speaking with council member Kamen, I specifically asked her, will HPD still work with ICE? And she said, absolutely. Right. They were just changing the time that the police officer would detain somebody within past the 30 minutes.
Right. We have a call on the line from Martin from Katy. Martin, what's on your mind about this?
Yes, my comment is very simple. All the criminals, they hire people around them, like everywhere else. So including U.S. citizens, when people are living around the criminals, sometimes they purchase them. And if you're a mom with children and everything like that, why would you leave your children, and go risk your life for some criminal unless you're getting paid for it? So I think every time they are against ICE, I think there's money behind them. Somebody's paying them off or something.
Interesting point, Martin. Thank you for calling and sharing that. It'll be curious to see where this goes. The one thing that stays in my mind when all of this conversation is going on is we had the mayor on, I think it was our rodeo show.
Mm-hmm.
And he made reference to the fact, what they have done so well in the city of Houston is we've stayed under the radar. We haven't brought attention to it. Things have been happening. We haven't had the kind of protests and all that we've seen in other cities. And what this whole thing did was just put a huge spotlight on us. Now, I'm not sure how it's reading nationally, but locally, it's gotten a lot of attention.
It has. And, the other part of it is that during that rodeo broadcast, the mayor also specifically said that we had not gotten our federal public safety funds yet. And that was making him a little nervous, given the fact that FIFA World Cup was just right around the corner.
Right. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. If you have thoughts, comments, perspectives on this and you want to share them with us, please give us a call or text 713-440-8870.
And coming up on Hello Houston, we're going to be joining up with Tom Hudson at WLRN Public Media in Miami for another simulcast. This is News 88.7. Stay with us.
We need right now to reach $29,000 so that we can hit our goal. And we're almost at the finish line. This is the last Hello Houston of the fundraiser. And right now, your gift is going to be, ready for it? Tripled. This campaign, the full campaign, ends at 7 p.m. Our show ends at 1 o'clock. I don't know how long the triple match is going to go. That may only go for an hour. But we need your donations right now to support the news stories we were just talking about, the things you're going to hear, the news you've been hearing throughout the day on the channel, all the stories you hear throughout the day. So to help fund that and get your gift tripled and help us reach our goal, go to houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
This is the extra boost that we need. And Jimmy Dunn and Karen Weaver are tripling donations right now. But you have to give now to take advantage of this. Do not wait. This is not going to last. Give now, get your gift tripled and do 3 times as much to support news for Greater Houston. HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or pick up that phone and give us a call. 888-909-0887.
It isn't about pledging around a particular show that really matters. It's the whole body of work that we do. But let me tell you, if Hello Houston audience, if our YouTubers all stand up and are heard during this show, it looks pretty good. It says we're reaching an audience that cares, that's engaged with the work we're doing on this particular show, but it also supports all the work we're doing. So if you haven't taken the opportunity yet and you've been meaning to make that donation during this drive and you're just waiting, I implore you, do it now during our particular show. Not only does it look good for us, it triples right now. So this is one of the final opportunities you have for giving and having your gift tripled. Do it right now. Remember, this is people-powered news, and you're the fuel. You're the people. So donate now and get your gift tripled. HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
And listen, Houston is a big, complicated city. We feel it, we know it, we report it, we explain and make it much more digestible. You get to hear from people in the city making a difference. And you get access to them because you believe in this work. It is all up to you. Get your gift tripled in the final hours of this fundraiser, HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate, and or pick up that phone, 888-909-0887.
We're going to quickly get back to our programming, but before we do, you have time still to make that donation. Do it right now. Go to 888-909-0887.
Houston Matters highlights the people, place.
Meet Tio Choco. We just took his keys for the day and gave him a Ride Metro fare card. This is his story. Visit ridemetro.org/Choco to find out where is Choco.
At your leisure at HoustonPublicMedia.org. And reach out with questions or comments anytime. Email us at talk@HoustonMatters.org.
You're listening to Hello Houston, where the voices, issues, and ideas that shape our city come together. From immigration to education, from local elections to cultural conversations, this show dives deep.
And it only happens because listeners like you choose to give. Right now, during our fall campaign, we're asking for your support.
If this show matters to you, take the next step and make your gift at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
Support comes from Galveston Historical Foundation, presenting the 52nd Annual Historic Homes Tour. Architectural history is shown through tours of private residences and special events. The first 2 weekends of May. GalvestonHistory.org.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from the Houston Chamber Choir, closing its season with an open-ish Mike Night, a curated variety show featuring pop solos and special acts by this season's friends and neighbors. More at HoustonChamberChoir.org.
Support comes from Metro. World Cup planning includes transit improvements intended to serve Houston after the final match. Metro provides bus, rail, and paratransit service and continues mobility enhancements across the region. More at ridemetro.org/Metro Now. Support comes from DePelchin, reminding you that April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month. And for more than 130 years, DePelchin has worked to ensure that Houston area children are part of safe and loving families. Learn more at DePelchin.org.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Celestia Sherman and Ernie Manous.
We are right now about to do something really special. We are going to connect with our friends over in Florida who are facing something we have just been going through. Tom, are you with us? Are you there, Tom? Nope, Tom's going to be joining us in just a couple seconds. And what we want to talk about when we do join with him is about the uniqueness of the situation that Florida is facing that's very similar to what we're going through. It's the redistricting that is happening.
Yes, and I think that Texas Republicans really encouraged Donald Trump in this past summer, in July 2025, to redraw the maps to target 5 Democratic-held seats and increase the GOP's 25 advantages. And
Hello again to Ernie and Celeste.
Hello,
hey,
Tom.
There we go.
How are you guys in Houston?
Tom is joining us now.
We're doing well. How are you folks handling things in Florida?
Oh, well, things are delayed a little bit. The special session, Ernie, that was supposed to happen next week has gotten delayed until the week after next. But political boundaries are definitely on the political table for our Republican legislature to debate.
Now, if you can help us
what's happening in Florida.
Well, if you can help us a little bit before
mean mix minus.
If you can help us a little bit about what is happening there, and then I'll get into what happened here for your folks. But the thing that stands out to me, if I didn't follow this, maybe I followed it incorrectly, but that Florida already had a statute that said you cannot redistrict. So how is this happening? You guys had a law beyond what we had.
So this is the Fair Districts Commission constitutional amendment that bans gerrymandering for political parties. However, the state has changed political boundaries many times through the years with this constitutional amendment in place. It has been successful navigating around that, and the expectation by Republican legislators and Governor Ron DeSantis here in Florida is that whatever they may come up with in the weeks ahead is going to be able to meet the scrutiny of this Fair Districts constitutional amendment. But you're right, it's an important legal threshold that is likely going to be the focus of any kind of legal challenge of what winds up coming out here in Florida.
Well, in Texas, we do know about legal challenges, and we've gone back and forth on ours to catch your listeners up. We were all fine and happy, and then a phone call came from the president to our governor who said he wanted 5 more seats, and it started all of this redistricting, I would almost say craziness that happened here. So we decided a new map was drawn that would give 5 new seats that would be leaning more toward Republican voting, and that would increase our number on the national level. And as you probably remember, our Democrats in the State House decided, well, then we're leaving town. So they broke quorum and they took off all over the country, mostly to Chicago and also to California, where then California got into it and said, well, if Texas is going to do that, we're going to change our maps and we're going to add. And they went ahead with it, and they've sailed through on their plan to do it. We then got blocked on our maps here when it was said, nope, that's I should say eventually our folks came back and they voted along party lines, no surprise there, and the maps were moved forward. Then the Supreme Court said, whoa, stop. Then the Supreme Court said, nah, you can go ahead again. How that's played out for us, especially in Harris County, where Houston is located, is we have had election after election after election, runoffs, primaries, all of this, in which you may be voting and 3 weeks later you're in a different district than what you just voted for in a primary. It's been crazy. As of today, we are living under this new drawn map. So that's where we're at.
So is it settled law now in Texas? Are the boundaries settled for the 26th November election?
Oh, Tom, you know well enough not to say Texas is settled law anywhere. We are moving forward with the assumption that these are the maps that will be being reflected in the November election here. We have we are in the middle of primaries and runoffs for the new, what we're calling District 18, which was fascinating because we also had Sylvester Turner representing us, who had passed away in office, and then the governor held off filling his democratically held seat for almost a year, which then put us into these race on top of race on top of race problems.
I mean, it is time compressed, right, Celeste and Ernie? I mean, you know, we've got primaries here in Florida in August. Those are our primaries. And then, of course, the November election. And the governor here in Florida had talked about this April. I mean, he announced this special session back in January, saying April, you know, late April after tax day, that's going to be the day. And, you know, things were happening there in Texas. Things were happening in California. We've seen what happened in Indiana. And now, of course, this voter referendum in Virginia, which may change the Virginia map. The governor here was asked whether or not his scheduling was influenced by the Virginia referendum that's due to be decided soon. He said no. He denied any knowledge of what's happening outside of Florida when it comes to congressional redistricting, which, you know, it's kind of hard to believe that a governor of a state that's subject to redistricting by a request from the president doesn't know what's happening in Texas or Virginia or California or Indiana, too. Kind of belies common sense there. But, you know, it's been fascinating to see this, and it's at this compressed time schedule then where voters and even some folks that are running for office, it sounds like you've experienced this too, are saying, you know, we need to know where these lines are just so we can put together campaigns and voters can feel comfortable asking the kinds of policy questions, the kind of political questions of the folks that want to represent them in Washington.
Well, a perfect case, again, Texas 18, was the fact that we were doing an election to fill a seat, the remaining term of Sylvester Turner, and other representatives, other congressmen were running from different districts in that district for an upcoming election that the people that were going to vote on weren't voting on right then. So you see, like Al Green is running in Texas 18, and people are seeing his billboards while they're going to vote on a ballot for 18 that doesn't have him on it because we hadn't switched over. It was extremely confusing, and it, of course, led to lower voter turnout or understanding or appreciation. And the voter turnout has been the biggest problem for us. There have been areas that have voted 4 times for the same seat within just a couple of months.
Yeah, we've seen that with some special elections as well, called for various vacant races at the state house level. Wondering, Ernie and Celeste, like how folks are trying to read the tea leaves as you have worked through a couple of special elections in Texas after the redistricting, where you've seen, you know, Democrats maybe win in what had been Republican areas. We saw that here in Florida with the state house race of the district that actually represents Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach County, where the president, of course, votes and is a resident in Florida, where we saw that district go from red.
Mail-in votes, just for the record.
That is true. Yes, he did acknowledge that he cast a ballot via the mail. But that district was flipped from Republican to Democrat. Now, state house, but you know, a lot of folks get excited. A lot of Democrats certainly excited, and are pointing to that as perhaps a reason for the Florida legislature to begin to slow walk some of this redistricting and kind of wait and see what happens in Virginia and elsewhere.
Well, I think for us, a lot of the focus or a lot of the oxygen has been sucked up by our U.S. Senate race, which is getting so much of the attention. But that's going through kind of what you're talking about there, in that we have been a strong-held Republican senator seat for years and years. And James Taurino looks like he's nipping at the heels, and there could be that swap. So much of the energy and coverage seems to be on that race. And with the multitude of special elections we've had on these House seats, I think people are totally lost and confused what and who they're voting for. But as far as seeing the flips going on, for us in our area, what they kind of did was shift around some Democratic seats, clearing ways for what were more Republican areas to take them. And our focuses have been on like Texas 18, as I keep mentioning, because that's the big one with all of the special elections. That is going Democratic no matter how you slice it. But it'll be interesting to see as we move toward November how these other House seats are looking. I have a funny feeling, if you're reading the tea leaves, that you may see a little bit more blue coming out of Texas, even though this plan was to make it more red.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're talking with our friends in Houston here in Florida. My name's Tom Hudson. We've got Ernie and Celeste with us in Houston. We're doing a simulcast on our programs to bring Texans and Floridians together to talk about redistricting. And Rufus has been listening in Orlando, Florida. Rufus, thanks for your patience. You're on the radio. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for having me. My couple points are, I'm for redistricting, and I'm neither Democrat nor Republican. I was a Democrat, but I withdrew that and am independent. And my point is, where I live here in Orange County, Florida, when I moved, my wife and I built our home on an 1.5 acre lot. When I moved into the community, there may have been 5 at most people of color in a pretty large area. Today, there are more Caribbeans, Hispanics, and African Americans, and the white people have moved out. And these are 2 acre lots, very, very solid financially. And my point is this: you can redistrict, draw new lines, but the old model of where people gravitate to are changing. And I'm for change. One last point. John Morgan wants to develop a new political party here in Florida. I'm for that. And I think there are many people, both Democrats and Republicans, that are basically fed up with the machinery and the shenanigans that go on with both parties and are looking for something new that will be a true voice of the people.
Rufus,
and I'm for it.
I
Thank
appreciate you lending your voice there from Orlando. I'll tell our Houston friends, John Morgan is a well-known personal injury lawyer based here in Florida. He actually operates in many, many states, who had talked about running for governor and this week decided not to run for governor, made that announcement. But you hear there from Rufus, and I'm wondering if you heard from Texans about more independence, more a third way, something less than the Democrat or Republican forced vote that we've seen for a good number of election cycles.
I think more what we're seeing, and I go back to what I said a moment ago, and then I'll let Celeste have a shot at this one, is with that Senate race, James Taurino, as opposed to launching a new party, he's redefining a party that I think speaks, or at least is approaching speaking across party lines. He brings, for folks in Florida who aren't familiar, a much more Christian ethics to being a Democrat. He is a seminarian. He talks often of faith and speaks of that. And I think that's what we're seeing more, that it's a softening of the line, more so from the Democratic point of view, I would say. I think the Republicans are saying, we've got power, we're in control, this is who we are. Where the Democrats are saying, well, how do we then play in that sandbox? Maybe if we soften this edge, maybe if we speak more of this. And I think that's what's happening more than a new party push.
And, you know, we've heard that a little bit, Celeste, from the State House flip at the district in Mar-a-Lago, right, that covers Mar-a-Lago, that was Republican, went Democrat. We heard from the Democrat who won that race to say, I didn't mention President Trump. This wasn't a local election that was nationalized. This was about, issues in Palm Beach County: housing affordability, transportation, education. She really said that she thought the reason why she won was because stayed focused on the policies as opposed to the politician.
And I just want to remind everybody, we are speaking with Tom Hudson, the senior economics editor and special correspondent from WLRN News. You can join the conversation at 713-440-8870. Just to chime in, listening to what Rufus was saying out of Orlando, it makes me wonder, Tom, from your perspective and what people are saying. Oftentimes here in Texas, we saw this specifically in our District 18, in our backyard. The purpose of districting was historically to protect brown and black representation within our communities. And it felt like we saw that push that, it was coming from the federal government. We need to redistrict. We're looking for that seat. I know y'all might have already touched on this, but what do Republicans and Democrats say within Florida that their main push to redistrict is?
Well, this effort is led by the governor in Florida, Republican. It has some support amongst Florida Republican legislators. Not all. It's not universal. Florida Democrats don't like the idea really almost universally. Mm-hmm. The racial question here is central to this because the governor here in Florida has pointed to two primary reasons for his support for redistricting. One is he thinks that the Florida population has changed a lot since the 2020 census, and there's complaints that the 2020 census was inaccurate, and more people have moved into the state and moved around the state, and so those district lines should be moved to represent that. But the primary reason, honestly, Celeste, that he's pointed to is this Voting Rights Act Supreme Court case in Louisiana that is still pending. We still have yet to hear from the Supreme Court on this, which may do away with the majority-minority allowance of congressional districts inside that 1960s era Voting Rights Act. And the governor has said that if that designation is removed, then he thinks it's mandatory that Florida redraw its congressional districts without favor of race.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what it comes down to here.
And that whole school of thought, though, leads to the problem: how often do you redistrict? Because every time you feel there's a shift, every time there's a shift in political authority at the state houses or nationally, then we're just constantly redistricting and redrawing, where the 10-year rule, along with the census, I call it a rule, behavior, pattern, seemed to make sense.
Which, to also just chime in on the U.S. Census, bureau count, we even had President Trump say that potentially he wanted to change that as well. So you also have that element of, is that really a stronghold?
And the horse trading that initiated this conversation between Florida and Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
One state does one thing that tends to lean one way politically. Another state, like California or somewhere else, does something else. And so then another state responds. And while ultimately you're up against this election date, things get compressed further and further and further. And you've got folks in the Texas 18 or perhaps, in the Florida 22nd who are deciding, well, which district am I in? Who are the candidates that I'm going to vote for? And the candidates themselves are left as well, kind of spinning around, waiting for the lines to be drawn, at least temporarily enough, for folks to decide on a fall election.
Well, it's funny, too, because when you talk about the Supreme Court and getting involved and all, for a while there, we thought that our Texas map had been knocked down, but California went along a different route to do it. So we thought, wow, this plan to increase Republican seats was going to fail, and Democrats were going to increase their seats because Florida was reacting to Texas. But then Texas law came back in, and then all of these states are doing. I can't keep track of it actually anymore.
I mean, it sounds like a tennis match or a football game, right? Well, where you're trading leads here. But ultimately, it's voters who are affected by all this, right, Ernie and Celeste? I mean, it's voters. It's who's going to represent them and what are their interests as they go off onto Capitol Hill.
Right. But we want to thank you, Tom, for joining us today.
Yeah, you're right back at you. It's great to connect our friends in Houston. We need to do more of these. We have so much more in common than we do in opposition between Florida and Texas and elsewhere. And it's just a great opportunity to hear from our neighbors. So thanks for taking us up on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
That was Tom Hudson at WLRN Public Media in Miami.
Fascinating conversation. And
Yes.
it's funny because we tend to think of ourselves in some way an isolated little island here, because look at what Texas is going through. And you realize not only are other states going through it, we basically put this ball in motion, this act in motion. But also back in 2022, Governor DeSantis had already done a redistricting thing. So it's not the first time they've done an off-year kind of redistricting. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. And when you bring in then California, and then you bring in these other states that are also challenging it, I am fascinated to see come November, first of all, who are the seats in Congress? Where are they going? And what are these new districts?
And I think a lot of people are waiting for that November election. I think there's a lot of questions around it, and it's going to be very interesting for sure.
And to keep in mind, too, that all of this is happening because, as we understand and believe, the president looked at the maps, looked at how his party was doing, looked at the taking the temperature of the nation, and felt that Republicans were going to lose power in the House.
Right. And I also think, Ernie, when we look at specifically redistricting, it follows each district, has roughly equal population. And that was the principle of it originally, of one person, one vote. And is that really the case in today's terms?
It's representation of a group. And are you really represented by people who really represent you? I mean, does your representation reflect who you are as a people? And that's part of the question that he was talking about that's at the Supreme Court that Tom was mentioning, is that if we don't have the ability to rewrite districts on the makeup of the people in the districts, because the understanding now is that it can only be done along political lines. It doesn't match politics. So it's very fascinating.
Coming up on Hello Houston, Executive Director of Imprint, Giuseppe Taurino, and poetry busker Anna Barr have spent the last 20 minutes or so writing a poem about public radio. We're going to hear the finishing product soon. This is News 88.7.
Thank you for making Houston Public Media part of your life. We're very close to our fundraising goal. Yes, this is the last Hello Houston that's going to be asking for your support during this drive. So if you've been waiting to make that donation, do it right now. We can see the finish line. Now is the time that you can step in and make this drive a success. And what else gets to happen with your donation?
It's tripled.
Yes, Houston Public Media is thankful to a couple of our donors that Celeste's going to tell you about in a minute, who are going to triple. Every $1 becomes $3 to us here at Houston Public Media. So right now, go to houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
And this is the final stretch of this fundraiser, and it's exciting. You want to know why it's exciting? Because you get to participate and to take part in one of the most significant campaigns we've had this fundraiser, and in only 8 hours. Donate monthly at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
As Celeste said, you only have a few more hours left in this drive for us to make our goal. We've got under $30,000 to go in this drive. You can help us make it right now. And when you make that donation, as we've been mentioning, it's being tripled. It is being tripled. So right now, make that donation and let your gift to this station go even further. Do even more at Houston Public Media when we really need your help. If you're already a sustainer, maybe increase that sustaining membership amount, maybe make an additional gift. If you're not a donor, now is the time to join us. This is our first year without federal funding, and that means we need to maintain a strong community of support. Right now, get your gift tripled right now, houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from...
Meet Damola, songwriter, world-class violinist, and award-winning multi-genre artist. We just took his keys for the day and gave him a Ride Metro fare card. Visit ridemetro.org/Damola to learn more about his ride.
A Texas retailer offering wine, spirits, and finer foods, plus recipes and seasonal features, serving customers for 64 years. Details at specsonline.com.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from Near Northwest Management District, celebrating 25 years at the intersection of innovation. More information at nnmd.org. Support comes from Pearland, a community dedicated to growing innovative businesses and inspiring families, offering a diverse workforce, modern infrastructure, and schools, parks, and more. Details at pearlandedc.com. Pearland, innovation lives here.
Why give to Houston Public Media? Because you're listening to Hello Houston right now, a show that gives you more than just headlines. It provides context, community, and connection.
You hear from experts, local leaders, and everyday people. You get the complete picture, and that only happens with your support.
This journalism is powered 100% by listeners. That means you make it possible.
If this show matters to you, take the next step. Give now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Celeste Diaz-Sherman and Ernie Manous.
April is National Poetry Month, but Imprint's Poetry Buskers will write you a poem any time of the year. And since 2008, the Imprint's Poetry Buskers have turned sidewalks, festivals, and community gatherings into live poetry sessions. Armed with vintage typewriters, these writers take suggestions from the public and craft one-of-a-kind poems right then and there, free of charge. In fact, they've written us a poem today, but we're going to get to that in just a second. Joining us now to tell us more is Giuseppe Taurino, the Executive Director of Inprint, and Anna Barr, the poet behind today's verse. Giuseppe and Anna, welcome to Hello Houston.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I just want to say really quickly, it's really hard to find a typewriter. And today, it really is.
Come by the Imprint house. We've got a bunch.
My daughter has been asking me for a typewriter, and I have not been able to find one. So it's cool to see one.
You know, it's interesting you bring up typewriter because that's exactly where I was going to go, but it was a little bit different. You say the word typewriter, and for a whole generation of us, you hear the sound of a typewriter. That words carry the power of a sound with them, not just the word itself. And so I think that is so cool. And then I think to poetry, when you're writing, when you're thinking of the words you're choosing to say, it's not just the sound of the word and what the visual may be. There's sounds that can come with it too. Your feelings on that, Anna?
Oh, of music and poetry?
Yeah, how the word typewriter. Okay, I hear.
Well, I grew up after the typewriter era.
Oh, never mind.
So
Giuseppe,
for me,
you talk to me about it.
Well, I was joking with Anna earlier. This very much resembles the typewriter I wrote my personal essay on to get into college back in the day.
Oh my gosh!
But we were talking, and it does invite folks to come over and check out what's going on. So in addition to capturing the musicality of the words that we're committing to paper, it draws an audience, both as a relic and sort of as an audio cue.
So Giuseppe, take us back a second and talk to us just like what is the Imprint Poetry Buskers program for people that might not even understand what it is.
Well, so as an organization, our mission is to inspire readers and writers, right? And it's through programs, readings, and community opportunities like the Imprint Poetry Buskers program, which just straightforwardly sends writers into the community with typewriters to write poems for people on the spot. And we've been everywhere from Discovery Green to the Menil to festivals and library events across Houston. Our outgoing executive director was sure to share with me that one time we were even at an airport hangar at the Hobby Airport.
That's cool.
Sort of writing poems about vintage aircraft in celebration of vintage aircraft. So it's a terrific program where people can come by and ask for poems about a person they love, someone they've lost, sometimes something as simple as the Astros, and it turns up right on the spot.
And you know what's incredible to me? You say it right on the spot. And I feel like one of the skills that we keep seeing about when we talk about AI is people are losing the skill to be able to just write a simple email. So Anna, talk to us about that creative process to be able to just have words pop into your mind without your phone, without ChatGPT, that you are on the spot writing.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's just really fun, which is, I think, the reason why most of us write poetry. But it's also a really cool way to connect with someone, a stranger. And sometimes that kind of emotional aspect is what really inspires the poem for me. You also have to be humble. You know, it might not be the best poem I've ever written, but it's going to make someone happy.
Well, before we hear the poem that you wrote for us, I'm just curious, why on typewriters? Why don't we just have a pad and writing it by hand? Why
it's not? Cool. Don't you think it's cool?
It is. It's very cool. The idea
I think it comes back to your original sort of comments, right? I think there really is something tangible and sort of tactile about writing that poem on a typewriter. And again, it really just draws people in, and it makes it really accessible. The entire process makes poetry feel both relevant and personal, in addition to being accessible.
And it's also kind of musical. There's a musicality to it, of a rhythm when you're typing and you can hear.
If you're a good typer.
That
Mine was old Hunt Pack staccato.
So, Anna, when did you start writing poetry? When did you find that was something you wanted to do?
Oh, a long time ago, when I was a teenager and had a lot of feelings, I think, like a lot of people. That's when you start writing poetry. And then I went and I got my MFA at the UH Creative Writing Program, which is how I got to know Imprint. I was an Imprint fellow, and now I work there full time. But during grad school, I was an Imprint poetry busker.
Wow.
And it was awesome. It was a great way to make money and get to know the city and write poetry.
So do we want to hear a poem?
I think we want to hear the poem, yeah.
So you wrote us this poem just now.
I did. I was back in that room over there. I wrote it. And the prompt was the importance of public media, which I assume you are responsible for. This is a love poem from public radio. I have no body, so I'm free as wind. And I want to tell you secrets, to entertain, to grow your brain. I love you, listener. Though made of waves and blind as breathing, I reflect our city back to you. Ears, voice, brain, blood. I exist for you, and you take it from there.
I love that.
I loved that. Yeah.
Are you going to sign that? We're going to frame it?
If you want.
Yeah, right. Snap.
Snap for it.
I almost felt like there's this very intense level of intimacy in poetry. Mm-hmm. And so talk to me about the relationship between writing for a stranger.
It's different from anything that I've done before. Mm-hmm. And it's very gratifying. It's nice to be able to give someone, going back to why we use typewriters, to give someone a poem that they can take home and maybe share with someone. And oftentimes people will ask me to write a poem sort of on their behalf for someone that they love, which is always kind of a joy.
Sure.
I get to disappear a little bit.
Yeah, and Giuseppe, talk to me a little bit about why Houston you think is a poetry place. Like, what makes Houston unique within the poetry world?
I think Houston's such a diverse city, right? We all know and accept and love that. And that really shows up in its writing as well, across languages and communities. And a lot of that isn't always visible. And so showing up at various opportunities and community spaces, part of what we try to do at Imprint is to create opportunities for people to encounter that diversity in direct and personal ways. And so I think poetry really speaks to that.
Yeah.
And a lot of our buskers are bilingual. So we also have Imprint poetry buskers who write in Spanish, and we go to many bilingual events, which is something that we're very excited about.
Over on YouTube, one person wrote, "Typewriter rodeo is awesome. They typed an original poem for my daughter at the opening of the Centennial Gardens in Herman Park. Good group."
Very cool.
And
I was there.
Oh, were you? You might have been that person.
Well, it was the Herman Park Commons opening ceremony. Yeah. Maybe not the same.
I love that. Giuseppe Taurino is the executive director of Imprint, and Anna Barr is a writer with Imprint's Poetry Buskers. You can get your very own poem written by them tomorrow at Manil Neighborhood Community Day in the Manil Collection Lawn. Giuseppe and Anna, thank you so much for joining us today and for that beautiful poem.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Coming up, we're going to continue discussing today's top headlines. Stay with us for the second hour of Hello Houston.
All right, we are on the way to hitting our goal, but we need $29,000 to reach it. Under $30,000. We can do that.
We can absolutely do that.
You can do that. That's what I want to say. Right now, your gift means Houston Public Media keeps going now more than ever. We need your monthly support so we don't slow down. So consider right now a donation of $10 or even $20 a month. And guess what? Right now, it's going to be Tripled. That doesn't happen often, and we're at the end of our drive, so we've saved the big guns for right now, tripling a donation. So do it right now. Please give at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or by calling 888-909-0887.
That's right. And across the country, local stations are shrinking. But here in Greater Houston, you decide exactly how Houston Public Media moves forward. So this moment is yours. You know how important the truth is. Go to houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
You may hear a sense of urgency in our voices. That's because we're in the final stretch of this fundraiser. We've only got a short distance to go, and you can be the person that puts us over that goal. The outcome will determine whether Houston Public Media, where it goes next, what we can cover, what stories we'll bring you. That's in your hands right now. And your gift continues for funding, and the drive is going to end in less, maybe 8 hours. So right now we need you to give at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or by calling 888-909-0887.
And Houston Public Media is 100% community funded. You're the one who keeps this whole thing going. And I want you to know that we are committed to you. We promise to keep showing up for you with trusted news that you can rely on. And now it's your turn to show up for us. Go to houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or pick up that phone, 888-909-0887.
You know, lots of people leave their hometowns in search of greener pastures.
I always wanted to come back home, but I was also skeptical about the opportunity here in the city.
I'm Kai Rizdal. Ho Chi Minh City is the city in question. We wrap up this leg of our series, The Age of Work, next time on Marketplace.
You can listen to Marketplace coming up tonight. It's on at 6:30 on News 88.7.
Support comes from Metro. World Cup planning includes transit improvements intended to serve Houston after the final match. Metro provides bus, rail, and paratransit service and continues mobility enhancements across the region. More at ridemetro.org/Metro Now.
Partly sunny day today. We'll get up to 86. Low tonight near 71. Currently, it's 80. This is your NPR station, KUHF, Houston. News 88.7, a service of the University of Houston.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. Significant signs of relief in the markets today on news that Iran says it'll let commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz during the 10-day Israel-Lebanon ceasefire. But Iranian ports are still subject to the U.S.'s naval blockade. President Trump says he wants an agreement that ends the war the U.S. and Israel initiated with Iran in late February. NPR's Deepa Shivaram has details.
Earlier Friday, Iran said it would open up the strait to commercial vessels after a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon was reached on Thursday. Trump announced that ceasefire and said leaders from Israel and Lebanon would likely come to the White House next week, though plans have not yet been finalized. Trump said he expects a quick resolution with Iran, quote, as most of the points are already negotiated. But until then, the U.S. naval blockade will continue. Trump is in Nevada and will travel to Arizona later to give remarks to supporters. In Las Vegas, he said the U.S. economy is, quote, booming, and gas prices are coming down, though in this city they're holding at around $5 per gallon. Deepa Shivaram, NPR News, Las Vegas.
The blockade of Iranian ports began this week. It's aimed at shutting down the country's petroleum exports. But as NPR's Scott Newman explains, that could prove overwhelming as ship traffic through the Strait of Hormuz picks up.
The number of vessels passing through the Strait of Hormuz waterway has dwindled from its pre-war average of 138 ships. Brian Clark, an expert in naval operations and electronic warfare at the Hudson Institute, says with so few vessels going through, the challenge for the Navy is manageable.
But if you get up to the normal traffic volume or anything close to it, it would be almost impossible to keep up with that traffic volume with the number of ships the Navy could maintain in that area.
Iran says it is opening the strait for commercial vessels, but the U.S. Navy yesterday expanded its quarantine to include all Iranian-tied vessels anywhere in the world. Scott Newman, NPR News, Washington.
As for Israel's ceasefire with Lebanon, Israeli media say residents in northern Israel are furious. They see it as another betrayal failing to defeat Hezbollah. NPR's Eleanor Beardsley highlights Amos Harel, a defense security analyst for the Israeli paper Haaretz.
We saw that when Trump forced Netanyahu's hand and decided on the ceasefire with Iran last week. And we saw that again on Thursday evening when Trump announced that there was going to be a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. Now, Netanyahu is still hoping that somehow these negotiations fail and the fighting resumes, because there's quite a lot that he still wants to achieve.
Amos Harel's story brought to us by NPR's Eleanor Beardsley on Here and Now. At last check on Wall Street, the Dow is up 970 points, or roughly 2%. This is NPR News.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Tom Perumian. The National Rifle Association's annual gathering is going on at the George R. Brown Convention Center, and they're getting the word out about the upcoming U.S. Senate election in Texas. NRA Public Affairs Director Justin Davis wasting no time going after Democratic candidate James Tallarico when speaking with Houston Matters Thursday morning.
James Tallarico has attempted to put himself out there as a moderate, especially on guns, but the fact remains that he's Bloomberg-backed. He has stood in the way of constitutional carry here in Texas. So our members care deeply about that. A lot of these people are single-issue voters, so it's a great opportunity for us to connect with those voters.
More than 70,000 supporters of the Second Amendment and gun rights are in attendance. Higher oil prices because of the war with Iran could prompt some Texas energy companies to ramp up production. That's according to Dallas oil man Jay Young, the CEO of King Operating Corporation. While gas prices have skyrocketed beyond $100 a barrel, Young believes eventually they'll stabilize at $75 to $80.
At those prices, oil and gas companies will pick up rigs at a feverish rate and they'll start drilling again because they have the prospects that make a lot of sense.
Iran effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz during the war, leading to higher oil prices. The U.S. is conducting a blockade of Iranian ports of the strait this week. Taking a look at sports, the Astros look to get back on the winning list. They take on the St. Louis Cardinals in a weekend series at Daikin Park, starting at 7 p.m. tonight. Your check of weather, it's going to be partly sunny and breezy with a high near 86. Tonight, mostly cloudy and windy with a low around 71. Right now, it's mostly cloudy, 80 degrees on the UH campus. Get more news and information. Go to HoustonPublicMedia.org. I'm Tom Perumian, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Progressive Insurance, working to help protect small businesses and the owners that run them, offering customizable coverages to salons, accounting firms, tradespeople, and more. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com.
Live from Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now your hosts for Hello Houston, Ernie Manous and Celeste Diaz-Sherman.
Happy Friday, Houston. Today is April 17th, 2026.
And you know what else? Today is the last day of our drive.
Today is the last day of our drive, and today also feels like it's just been fast.
Yes, but I want to mention, if you have not taken the opportunity yet to make your gift to the station, please do it right now. We're trying to close the final few $1,000s we need to, and you can make that happen right now by calling 888-909-0887, or even easier, especially for our YouTubers, you're right there online anyway. Go to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate. Or just HoustonPublicMedia.org. It'll tell you where to go. And you can make that donation really quickly, really easily. And it's great for us because it says you're listening, you care, you're supporting. So do it now.
We always have a little bit, I would say, maybe not a theme, but some type of, we want to remind people. And last year was very much about, our funding was cut. Mm-hmm. And so there was, this sense of urgency. And I feel like now it's very much we're saying we are committed to our community. Now more than ever, we need accurate information that's going to help people within our neighborhoods, within our communities, to make more informed and better decisions within their life. I mean, just on this week's shows, we've been talking about the ICE ordinance. We've, in a little bit, we're going to talk to Commissioner Sid Miller. So, yeah.
There's a lot going on. And it's funny because it's hard to find good sourced information in today's world.
Yes.
In a moment where we think we have more information than we've ever had, more exposure to more things, finding trusted sources is so hard. And NPR and Houston Public Media have been here for years for you with trusted news. Now, it's not to say on the off chance, sometimes we'll get something wrong. It's happened. But we're right there to say, too, we got that wrong. We don't double down and hold on to it. Where have we seen that happen, where someone says something that's wrong, but they won't admit a mistake? No. And that's part of the growing and learning experience. And also stories evolve as they go. And we're always right there to present to you the most current information on any story, even as it develops, which is important. We haven't set a story and now that's the only story you're going to hear. A change happens. A new ordinance, a new reaction. Houston Public Media is right there every step of the way with you in your story. So why don't you make sure you're there with us every step of the way and make that donation? HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate.
And we want to also thank you for joining us today, whether you are
Back
tuning
to our
in
show.
to 88.7 on your radio, you're out and about in the community, or you're joining us on YouTube. We want to give a shout out to our YouTubers, and there is quite a lot of chit chat happening. Tobin Helms says, oh my goodness, I missed the location of the Texas Typewriters event tomorrow. That is going to be, I believe, at the Manil. It is the Manil backyard event. I'll get that for you in a second.
Yeah, it was fun to see a typewriter in here, but she was talking typewriters. I'm thinking back to my old typewriter I used when I went to school. I went to school in Chicago, so I left New York, moved to Chicago to go to school, and I needed a typewriter. My grandma was like, oh, I've got a typewriter for you. And for her, it was an old typewriter and had little round buttons, very much a manual typewriter, and the letter N was missing. And I had to take a button, and I taped it there. And so I would type my N would always be that button I would have to hit. It was a different time. It amazes me now that we can talk to text when in those days I had to pound it out on that manual.
I remember I can hear a typewriter, my mom typing things on a typewriter when I was younger.
It's kind of a fun sound.
And Tobin, this is for you. Tomorrow, the Imprint's Poetry Buskers are going to be at the Manil Neighborhood Community Day in the Manil Collection Lawn. Also, let's see, we had Doris says the simulcast discussion was informative and interesting. Please include these from time to time, and we definitely will try.
Yes, and I want to say I was just thinking in that little break we had between the 2 hours of the show, I was saying, oh my God, I sounded so scattered, and I didn't want to, but what I was thinking is, when you think about what's happened in redistricting, in less than a year, this all has been going on, and so many shifts and moves and changes. And that's actually why I turned to NPR, to help me get clarity on stories that are so rapidly changing. And then you add into it California and Florida and other states and what they're doing with it. Staying on top of these stories can be exhausting. And luckily, outside of just our conversational news that we do here on this show, we have a newsroom that's dedicated to keeping you informed and on top of every story with every twist and turn.
That's right. And coming up on Hello Houston, we're going to discuss preserving our state's historic trees with Nancy Higgs, the Houston and Southeast Texas representative of the Texas Historic Tree Coalition. That's a conversation I'm looking forward to.
That is. But as we've been talking about news, Celeste, you always lead us into the news.
Thank you, Ernie. Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller issued a bold and urgent call earlier this week to Texas Governor Greg Abbott temporarily to suspend the state's motor fuel tax immediately. With diesel and gasoline prices skyrocketing, Miller warned that the tax is inflicting severe pain on Texas's working families. Commissioner Miller pointed to action already taken in other states like Indiana and Georgia and challenged Texas to lead. Miller then doubled down yesterday and called on President Donald Trump and the Internal Revenue Service officials to temporarily suspend the federal gas tax to deliver relief to hardworking families and everyday Americans struggling under rising fuel costs. And joining us now to discuss is the Commissioner Miller. Commissioner Miller, welcome to Hello Houston.
Well, it's good to be with you guys. Thanks for having me on again.
It's great to have you here. For sake of argument, and so we can understand, how much is the tax per gallon on gas in the state?
Well, when you add the state tax and the federal tax, it's 38.4 cents. But on diesel, it's 44 cents. So there's a 20-cent state tax on gasoline and diesel, and then federal tax is 18.4 on gasoline and 24 cents on diesel.
Okay, so to follow that conversation through then to the next level, do we have, and can you break it down by either day or week or month, how much money is collected by the state in these taxes?
Well, 5 cents of the 20 cents goes to education. The rest of it goes to the highway fund. I don't have those figures in front of me, but I can tell you this. We won't miss the money because we also charge a tax on every barrel of oil that is shipped out of the United States, and we're shipping a lot of it right now with the Strait of Hormuz the way it is. So there's a 4.4% tax on every barrel of oil that leaves Texas or leaves the United States. So collecting that, we've had a surge in that, so that would actually offset any losses in the system that, foregoing the motor fuels tax, cutting it. So no foul, no harm.
Sid, though I am curious because sometimes, from what I understand, critics say that sometimes tax breaks like this don't always translate to lower prices at the pump. So how are you going to guarantee that, these oil companies or the taxes that we're seeing imposed are going to actually be passed down to the consumer?
Well, if you take away the tax, it's gone. I mean, it's not there. You don't get to add it back. It's not going to make the gasoline people, the service stations, the convenience stores, it's not going to make them any more money or any less money. It's no harm to them. Matter of fact, it's easier for them. Bookkeeping is a lot easier because they don't have to keep up and file the taxes.
What's the governor's reaction to this?
I had a really good visit with 2 meetings with the White House staff. They really like the idea. They're trying to figure it out. I haven't heard one word out of the governor's office. I mean, and I put that out, I think, Monday. Mm-hmm. And absolutely no reaction. Hasn't returned my phone call. Hasn't returned an email. The staff hasn't reached out. This is bipartisan. This is not a Republican or Democrat issue. This is hardworking Texans issue. There's actually, I don't see any downside to it. Like I said, we've got other revenue coming in to cover the gap. So let's do it until we can get gasoline. And I'm not asking to do it permanently. Let's do it. It'd save you about $8 to $10 a fill up.
Right.
So that's pretty significant. If you fill up once or twice a week, that's $40 or $50 a month. That makes a difference.
The old adage is no response is still a response. How do you read not hearing from the governor on this? Is there opposition, or is he just not concerning himself with it? Is he waiting to see what happens in the next 24, 48, 72 hours in the straits? What do you read this lack of communication?
Well, it's typical. I don't know that I've ever got a response back from the governor's office. Every time I've reached out in the last 12 years, he never responds, so I'm not surprised. But you'd think he would do something. I don't know, unless he just doesn't want to do it because it's my ideal, maybe. That's pretty petty, though. I mean, he needs to help these Texans out. He has the ability to do it with the stroke of a pen. Heck, the staff will write it for him. All he has to do is sign it. So it's an easy deal. Once he signs it, it goes into effect. It's an executive order.
Are you hearing from any other factions any resistance to this plan? And if so, what is their argument to it? Because it sounds like you're laying out a pretty logical, easily achievable goal.
I haven't had any pushback from anybody. I have had lots of accolades and attaboys, and thank God, emails, phone calls. The public is social media. It's, it almost went viral. It did go viral on social media. Mm-hmm. So the people want it. I haven't found any opposition whatsoever. I don't know what it would be.
Well, I guess the question would be is if this could actually offer real relief, or if this is more of a short-term kind of political fix that really is not addressing the root cause of high gas prices.
Well, the root cause is the conflict of Iran.
Correct.
We're going to work through that, but this gives consumers some relief. I mean, this is not rocket science. It's, hey, fuel prices are high. This is a way we can reduce them. Every working family could use, save them $40 or $50 a month. That's groceries for a week.
Let me also ask you, you mentioned that you've been in conversation with the White House too. What is your understanding, if you can share with us, where we are on this conflict in the Middle East? What are they projecting as to realistically how you should be preparing for what is happening in our area? What are you hearing? What can you share?
It was very, very positive. I just got in last night. I went up Sunday to Washington, D.C. to work on this. Very productive meetings. They're very upbeat about settling the conflict. Of course, we all know that we made huge strides. There's a ceasefire in Lebanon and Israel. The Strait of Hormuz is opening back up. Iran's agreed to do that. So things are moving our way. I tell you what, that Donald Trump's a good horse trader. He can make a deal. And we always come out on top. So kudos to him for settling this. It's going to take a while for the system to adjust. So we still have, high fertilizer prices. It's going to take a while for that to fix itself. It'll take a while for diesel and gasoline prices to come down because that oil has been bottled up. It's still got to go to refineries and get refined and then shipped back out to the terminals and then out to the consumers. So it's not going to be overnight. So we're in this for a little bit, for a few more weeks anyway.
Respectfully, Commissioner Miller, I'm curious how you can justify essentially working families essentially being asked to absorb the cost of a much larger geopolitical strategy.
Well, it's just a fact of life. It happens. I mean, that's not much you can do about it other than, resolve the conflict. And it looks like we're doing that. So we're well on our way to doing that. So we're on the downhill side. I'm positive.
We were talking a little bit ago about maybe resistance from some folks. We have a quote here from U of H energy fellow Ed Hers. He tells Hello Houston that getting rid of the state tax, as we're talking about, would handcuff the highway department and would ultimately make no difference. Your thoughts on that?
Well, we're not getting rid of them, number one. It's a suspension. It's temporary. It's not like we're going to, cut off the funding to the highway department from now till never. And there's replacement revenue. He should know that in his position that we collect a sales tax on oil that we export. And we're exporting a lot of it because of the conflict in Iran. People are buying from the United States because they can't get it anywhere else. So it's a boom for us. And we kind of have a windfall there. We got a huge pot of money coming in from that. Easily just move that over and cover the shortfall from the gasoline and diesel motor fuels tax.
Texas Agricultural Commissioner Sid Miller. Commissioner Miller, thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thank you, guys. God bless.
Thank you. Interesting.
Yeah, fascinating conversation, but we've got more show to still come, so don't go anywhere. We're going to learn about trees. Not just trees, but historic trees of Texas and the history they share with us.
With Nancy Higgs. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues after the break.
Every call, every pledge, every donation brings us a little closer to our goal. We want to raise, we've been talking about this, we need about $28,000 to meet our goal for this entire drive. And it was a monumental goal, and we are so close to getting there. Remember, a goal is not just an amount of money we like or want or think would be fun. It's what it costs to operate. And we need to reach our goals to continue to bring you everything that we bring you. And these are the most important moments in our spring fundraiser. We're going to end our campaign in just 7 hours, and we need your donation to support everything you hear on this station, see on our YouTube channel, read on our website. It's so important that we meet our revenue goals. It sets the station up for success as we work through our future projects. So please go to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or give us a call, 888-909-0887.
That's right. And we need $28,000 to reach our goal. And these are really important moments within our spring fundraiser. And so, as Ernie mentioned, we're going to end this campaign in just 7 hours. And we need your donation to support everything you hear. Everything. It isn't so important that we meet our revenue goals. It sets the station up for success as we work through our future projects. Please go to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887. Again, that phone number is 888-909-0887. And thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Yes, the outcome of this campaign will set the stage for what our first year without federal funding is going to look like. We lost more than $2 million in federal support last year. That money isn't coming back, but your gift is the best way that we can keep Houston Public Media strong. Despite that loss, we've had so many existing members who have given $5 a month or $10 a month to just help us along. That's all it takes. Every single dollar we get makes such an impact on the station. So whatever you donate, any amount, it's important. And as that show that comes on before us is called, it matters. Houston matters. Keep trusted news alive in Greater Houston. Just go to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
And here's the catch. Giving is easy and it's also quick. You already listen, you already are trusting what you hear, and you rely on the weather, updates, the breaking news, the in-depth conversations like that we just had right now on Hello Houston. We work to bring this to you. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens because we are intentional with our work and we are accountable to you. So just $10 or $15 a month is all it takes to make a real difference. Go now. Go to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or pick up that phone, 888-909-0887.
As we keep mentioning, this campaign, this drive ends in just 7 hours.
7 hours.
We're almost there. But we're not quite there when it comes to the total revenue that has come in. The gifts, you're so close. We can do this. And your donation right now is the best chance we have to solidify and strengthen the future of trusted news for our community. Yes, that power is in your monthly donation. Give monthly right now at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate any amount that is comfortable for you. We are glad to have the gift. Or give us a call, 888-93. I don't know this number that's on there.
888-909-0887. And your support gives us greater flexibility to go out into our community and find those answers. Ask the questions, interview the change makers and the news makers, and dig deeper so we can bring the truth to light. More than ever, we need to be looking at accountability. We need to look into investigative pieces. And when you give monthly, you're one of the strongest protectors Houston Public Media has. Thank you for giving monthly at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate, or again, call 888-909-0887.
There's just a few hours left. In our show, there's only a half an hour left. We want to hear from you. Make that donation right now, HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate.
In the new movie Mother Mary, Anne Hathaway.
We know you value Houston Public Media. That's why you're watching right now. So take the next step and become a new member of the station you rely on. Every gift makes a difference. And what matters most right now is supporting the station that brings you the news and information you rely on. It only takes a minute to make a big difference. So join as a new member today at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
The show that brings you honest conversations about housing, healthcare, education, and the real issues shaping life in our city.
That's right. Hello Houston brings voices to the mic that need to be heard, but it doesn't happen on its own.
No, this station is entirely community funded, and that means you make Hello Houston possible.
Support the conversations that move Greater Houston forward. Make your gift at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from Baylor College of Medicine. Baylor's work centers on advancing health and medicine through research, education, and patient care.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from CertaPro Painters, offering residential and commercial painting services, from color consultations to full project management. Estimates and more at CertaPro.com. Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from attorney mediator Ron Bankston, providing in-person, video conference, and hybrid mediation and arbitration services. More information is available at ronbankston.com. Support comes from Pearland, Texas, a community supporting innovation in business, science, healthcare, energy, and inspiring their citizens. More on innovation happening in Pearland at pearlandedc.com. Pearland, innovation lives here.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Celestia Sherman and Ernie Manous.
The Texas Historic Tree Coalition is an all-volunteer nonprofit group dedicated to bringing the stories of significant trees in Texas to the public. The group accomplishes this by researching the history of these trees with the help of arborists, archaeologists, environmentalists, and other experts to find out what these trees have actually lived through. Additionally, the group also emphasizes the importance of proper care and protection of these trees while also educating the public about their benefits. To tell us more, we are joined by Nancy Higgs, who is the Houston and Southeast Texas representative of the Texas Historic Tree Coalition. Nancy, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
You know, you were going to say, I heard you take a guess.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, we think of trees and they're fun and they line the streets out. And I don't think often enough we think about the history of what these trees have been through. And to say it in the most hokiest way, what these trees have seen.
That's correct. And as one of our longtime trustees said in our last board meeting, if we don't stop to recognize these trees, we don't perhaps save them for the future generations that could also enjoy them.
Right.
So.
And, you know, Nancy, to that point, I'm curious what one historic tree in Southeast, Texas that has a story behind it that most people would find surprising or interesting.
Well, the most recent nominee and designated historic tree is an amazing story in Chambers County, not in Harris County.
Yeah.
The tree was, it's actually a grove of 3 trees, the oldest being close to 300 years old.
Wow.
The other 2 around 165 or so. The land was originally owned by a Cherokee woman who opened up her home in Galveston before she moved there to treat people for yellow fever. And then she remarried and moved out to Smith Point. And her son, at the age of 7, brought an acorn and buried the acorn next to the very big old tree. And they're both buried there now. It's a private cemetery. It's a beautiful space.
I think back when I think of older trees, historic trees, as a child seeing tree slicings where they're pointing at the rings of the trees and what different things happened at which points. And I remember even as a child, the connection you feel to history in the past by seeing this tree was there when the revolution happened. This tree was here in the Civil War. This tree was here. It fascinates me, and yet they are still, many of them, alive and thriving in our community, these trees who have been through this. Talk about what we lose when these trees are taken down.
Well, I got involved with the Texas Historic Tree Coalition as a nominator, actually, when they were getting ready to do all the road work on Montrose Boulevard. And as a native Austinite, I was astounded to learn that they were going to actually remove all of the magnificent mature live oaks that drape over that street. And there was a group of us working on it diligently, and nothing really was happening in the favor of the trees. And we were out one day, or I was out one day with our arborist, Matt Latham, looking at 3 post oaks that were there from a prairie before there was anything in that area, right outside the Magnolia Cemetery. And he was measuring them and doing evaluations. And I just said, if the city's not going to save these trees, who in the state can we talk to save these trees? And he told me about the Texas Historic Tree Coalition. I nominated the trees. The trees got recognized, and it was an opportunity for the mayor to go, let's think about this a different way. Mm-hmm. To answer your question directly, all those mature trees, especially when we live primarily in a floodplain, absorb so much rainwater, the leaves and the roots, that we often don't really realize the benefit until the tree is gone.
Yeah. Right. Do mature trees, the larger trees, absorb more? Is that one reason why it's so important to keep those? Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm curious, when you are researching a tree's past, what kinds of events or moments are you either looking for or able to uncover? How do you identify what tree essentially should get this type of attention?
That's a great question. So the tree has to be nominated. I have friends that want me to go around nominating all the trees, but I can't do that. And then, and I want to clarify, I'm not an arborist, I'm a nurse. Mm-hmm. So I probably have a little bit different tactic than the arborists that are on the committee. But for example, the one tree that I've gotten to participate in Houston is in the Montrose area and in Avondale. It sits over the entire playground of a daycare center. The crown covers beyond the playground of this huge recreation area. It was nominated a couple of years ago and had languished, and we found out that the board member of the daycare center had moved away. So the first thing I did was go over, talk to the director of the daycare center, see if there was still interest in pursuing this. There was a lot of interest. They didn't really have any history about the tree. One of my favorite places in Houston, Texas is the Clayton Genealogical Library. So that was my first stop. I didn't really find anything there. I thought I would. So then I went to the Idison Library and went to the archives there and found some information. Actually, I found a lot of information about various trees in Houston, but not particularly that one. But then that led me to calling Preservation Houston, and they helped to uncover, and it's a cool story. Now, this tree didn't rise to the occasion of historic. It's a heritage tree, probably because the trunk actually is 3 trunks that melded together. Okay. So it wasn't quite, it's huge, but it wasn't quite as old as if it had been one trunk.
Right.
But a preacher who was also an architect bought the lot in the mid-1940s, and he built the Lord's Church. He called it the Lord's Church because he wanted it to be non-denominational so that people would just worship God. And he built the building that is now part of the school as the church, but preserved the tree. And eventually it became a school. And now for, I think, 10 years, it's been a daycare center. So her name is the Avondale Angel. And the school was ecstatic. They have all sorts of celebrations and Mayfairs and all sorts of things underneath that tree.
Wonderful.
We are speaking with Nancy Higgs, the Houston and Southeast Texas representative of the Texas Historic Tree Coalition. If you would like to join the conversation, you can call or text 713-440-8870. Let's go to Wayne from West Houston. Wayne, welcome to Hello Houston. What is your comment or question for Nancy?
Well, I'm a tree man. I wish I was an arboretionist, or what? How do you say that word?
Oh, trust me, I have trouble with that word every time it's on my script, but I know where you're going. Arborist, I think you're trying to say.
Okay, there we go. But on my dad's land down by Peoria, they had these. We had a monster oak tree that had to have been 3 to 6 foot diameter, the biggest oak tree I've ever seen. And we just love that tree. We always eat under it, camp out under it. I'm a Boy Scout, so we camped out a lot under lots of oak trees. So those oaks are something else, man. I just, such a big fan of them, and I hope people preserve these trees instead of chopping them down. These damn builders go in these communities and tear every tree down, and then they put houses there. Just why are they tearing the trees down? So anyway,
Wayne, thank you for calling and sharing with us.
Nancy, Wayne brings up an interesting point. You work with arborists and archaeologists. So talk to us about what that collaboration looks like, on a project.
Well, all the other board members are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area because that's where the coalition first began. So other than our monthly board meetings, I work pretty independently.
Yeah, right.
And then we come together for our meetings, and then we always vote on nominees.
Well, I guess my question also could be, how did you figure out that this huge tree, which if somebody was just looking at it might have thought this is a really old tree, was actually 3 that had come together?
That's that amazing certified arborist, Matt Latham, who helps me with all of the verification. I mean, I cannot, I'm not qualified to verify the arborist findings on the nominees when they get to that point. And he was the one that recognized that immediately. It didn't look that way to me, and it probably wouldn't look that way to you. One thing I would like to say to the caller is, or just to reinforce that point, that it astounds me that people and builders don't recognize this better, is a mature tree, a nice tree on your lot can increase the value of your lot up to $40,000.
Oh, wow.
It's significant.
Yeah.
And it's just shocking to me when I've seen on my own street a builder leave a tree, build the whole structure, build the whole house. I'm thinking, he left that tree. And then at the very end, he takes it down.
Yeah. Well, okay, Wayne's question or comment, your reaction to it brings me to the point of how should a city balance the need for preserving history, but we are definitely in a rapidly expanding area and there is need for development and growth. Can both live harmoniously together, or does it become cost prohibitive to worry about individual trees when you're trying to build some sort of a complex or housing development?
That's a great question. And almost always, a lot of times I know Matt has told me that he's hired to go out to either a renovation project or a building project and do exactly that. Tell them how they might tweak their building position, how they can best preserve the trees. And, you may not be able to preserve a whole forest of trees, but you can definitely design your footprint so that you are preserving enough of them, more of them than not.
One thing I really want to quickly hit on before we run out of time is you also talk about the importance of proper care and protection of the trees we already have. Any advice for listeners right now who are troubled about how to take care of their trees?
Well, if they're really, to some extent, you don't have to do a whole lot of care for a mature tree. But if they're really concerned, they can always talk to a certified arborist like Matt for pruning, or I know Matt had given me a combination of 2 liquid substances to put on a huge pine tree outside my townhouse that somebody had put their ladder up against and gouged pretty bad. But in general, once a tree is established, other than making sure that the root system is not disturbed, or we had to do a lot of that kind of babysitting when they were doing the Montrose project, because they would put the road materials down in the root plane, and we would have to say, move those materials over there, and they did. It was an
Pay
it was
attention to
amazing.
those details.
Yeah.
And again, we are speaking with Nancy Higgs, the Houston and Southeast Texas representative of the Texas Historic Tree Coalition. You can call 713-440-8870. We do have a call from Anne from the Heights. And welcome to Hello Houston.
Hi, thank you for having me on. Nancy, can you talk about how important the tree canopy is to Houston and Harris County in general? For example, we have such a hot and humid climate, and we're going through a drought, and so it's really important to maintain our shade trees, don't you think?
Without a doubt. And the canopy is significant, and once it's gone, for example, when they were originally had a plan for Montrose Boulevard to take out all the mature trees and put in 2-inch diameter little immature trees, cypress, not even shade trees, it would have been devastating they wanted to put a sidewalk so that people could walk and ride their bikes, but it would have been too hot to even walk and ride your bike had they removed all those trees.
Mm-hmm. And a reminder, too, trees bring down the temperature of the entire city. You have enough trees there and in the shaded area. It's really fascinating what they can do.
And I am curious, Nancy, when we looked at the controversy of the Montrose TERS 27, do you feel like that's been resolved? Do you feel like we've come to a good place in regard to some type of compromise between the Montrose Boulevard Improvement Project with also preserving our trees?
It seems to be something that certain interests don't want to let go of the old plan. The plan has been implemented, it has been redesigned, and as it stands, yes, there's still a tremendous amount of pushback.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and Nancy Higgs is the Houston and Southeast Texas representative of the Texas Historic Tree Coalition. Nancy, thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thank you so much for having me and for rejoicing in trees.
Thank you.
And coming up, we're going to share some weekend events for our last minute plan segment. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues. When you give to Houston Public Media right now on the last day of our campaign, you're standing up for facts, you're powering local journalism, and you're also supporting a critical mission of providing reliable news to everyone in Greater Houston. Local news is fragile. That's no secret. We're seeing, newsrooms shutter around this country, but Houston Public Media is here, and we are here for you. And it's the most important kind of journalism, and we're committed to it here again at Houston Public Media. So please keep it going with your donation right now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
You know what happens at 7 p.m. today?
What's that?
We're done. We're done with this on-air fundraising. It's over. It's finished. But you know what we have to do to make sure that we finish correctly? We need to finish right. And the way we can finish right is by actually donating right now. We are just over $25,000 away from our goal, and we have a giving, thriving community out there who wants to help us. So why don't you join us? We want to make sure that we end in the black, not in the red, and we're so close. It's an exciting time to see everyone step in and come together, and it doesn't matter if you've procrastinated. Now is the time to make that gift. Do it now, and then you can't procrastinate any longer because you'll have been active. How do you like that?
I like that.
Yeah. This past year was incredibly tough for public media. We all know that. But we're still here and the work isn't over.
That's right.
We're looking to maintain strong, steady support so that we continue to grow at the same level and service that we always have. And you can make that possible right now. HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
And here's the thing. When you donate monthly, your gift helps your neighbors across Greater Houston, including people who cannot give right now. And we don't believe in a paywall. Information like the kind we provide should be free. But we do need people like you to keep it going. You know, it takes donations to keep this service on the air. So please step forward right now to make sure it's protected. The future strength of Houston Public Media demands on what you do right now. So donate monthly at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887. And again, 888-909-0887.
On the next Fresh Air, we celebrate the...
It's not just your car. It's the one that brought your kids home from school, took you cross-country, held memories, laughter, even a few breakdowns. When it's time to let go, give your car a new purpose. Donate it and turn memories into meaningful support for this station. Plus, you'll enjoy free and easy pickup, potential tax benefits, and a simple donation process. Your gift supports the programs you and your family love. Donate today and help keep public media strong. Call or donate online.
And ideas that shape our city come together. From immigration to education, from local elections to cultural conversations, this show dives deep.
And it only happens because listeners like you choose to give. Right now, during our fall campaign, we're asking for your support.
If this show matters to you, take the next step and make your gift at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
President Trump's war in Iran has led to his battle for moral authority with Pope Leo. The president's strategy to blockade the Strait of Hormuz could backfire in favor of China. And do elections around the world signal a troubling trend for the MAGA movement? And we also get a special tour inside the Supreme Court with Sarah Isgur. I'm David Green. Join me, Moa Lathy, and Mike Dupke for Left, Right, and Center.
You can hear it this Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Insperity Invitational, presented by United Healthcare, bringing the legends of the PGA Tour champions to the Woodlands Country Club Tournament course May 4th through 10th. Information and tickets at insperityinvitational.com. Support comes from Metro. World Cup planning includes transit improvements intended to serve Houston after the final match. Metro provides bus, rail, and paratransit service and continues mobility enhancements across the region. More at ridemetro.org/Metro Now.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's Celeste Diaz-Sherman and Ernie Manous.
Welcome back to Hello Houston. It is officially the end of the week. Woo!
We made it.
We made it. But you know
well,
what
we
else?
haven't gotten there quite yet.
We haven't gotten
but
there
we're
quite
close.
yet. But you know what else happened? Last night, our very own Ernie Manous won the Media Alliance on TV On Air Personality Award.
Yes, the official title is the Media Alliance of Houston Star Award, and they have a whole bunch of different categories.
You're a star.
Thank you, darling. And I won TV On Air Personality for 2025-26. And we've been talking about that a bit, but I didn't. We would be remiss if we didn't mention our other Houston Public Media winner, Jennifer Altide, also won. She won for Radio Digital Solutions Specialist. She's the one who takes care of all of our videos you see up, the things that end up on YouTube, the archives. She does an amazing job of keeping all of that going. And so we truly appreciate her work. And she was recognized by the Media Alliance of Houston.
Fabulous. Everybody here at Houston Public Media works really hard, but to see our colleagues being recognized for their great work is phenomenal. And let's see here. Earl Grey T-Cat says, congrats. Alex Garza Photo says, Ernie, congrats. Intercaneto says, cheers to Ernie. Congrats. Noah Espinoa, woohoo. And we already talked about, Ernie, do you really have 11 Emmys? I feel like there was, maybe I heard 17 at one point.
Then you would have heard a lie. I only have 11.
It is
I didn't
11.
give any. They didn't take any back yet. So I have 11.
Sean Radigan, you'll have to move the Hello Kitty on the mantle to make room for all the awards.
Could Sean have been the one who sent us the Hello Kitty?
Sean, were you the one that sent us the Hello Kitty?
But he saw it. We were showing it. We got a giant Hello Kitty. It is actually sitting in my office.
It is in your
right
office.
now.
Yep. And Wine Goddess Texas says, congratulations, Ernie. And we do also have a call from Chris from Cyprus. Chris, welcome to Hello Houston.
Thanks for taking my call. I'm a longtime listener, and I wanted to wish you guys good luck with the fundraising drive.
Thank
and,
you.
I'm a first-time donor. I'm locked in, and it's you know what? It's one less trip to McDonald's. I really don't need it, but I support you guys and all you do. I can't thank y'all enough, and good luck.
Chris, I truly appreciate hearing that. I'm a little concerned with the verbiage. You're locked in, but I like that. Now you know you can't go anywhere. You're ours. We got you. Thank you so much for that, too.
Yes, and thank you to everybody who's supported already and sent in their donation to houstonpublicmedia.org/donate. If you haven't yet, there is still time. We are in campaign. We are working hard until 7 p.m., and you can go to houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887. So, Ernie, what are you going to do now that you've won the Media Alliance Star TV On-Air Personality Award?
It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? I'm going to have a great weekend. That's what I'm planning to do. There's so many cool things going on in town this weekend.
That's right.
Tonight is well, I'm trying to remember what I am doing. What are you doing, Celeste? Well, I try and remember what I'm doing.
This weekend, well, I'll be here. You will hear me from 5 to 7 p.m. asking for more donations. So I'm working late tonight. And then tomorrow I will be at a cheer competition for my daughter and a t-ball game.
Oh, cool.
So that's what I have going on. And if you are looking for something to have fun, some weekend fun plans on Saturday, the San Jacinto Day celebration at the San Jacinto Museum and Battleground is going to be going on all day Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. This event will feature reenactments and historical activities celebrating the 190th anniversary of the Battle of San Jacinto.
I'll mention that the Houston Pride Band is doing one of their concerts. Mm-hmm. It is Saturday night at the Hobby Center. It's In Your Wildest Dreams. Enter a musical realm of magic and mystery. Doesn't that sound like fun?
That sounds like so much fun. So what do you got going on, Ernie?
I may go to the Houston Pride Band. My next door neighbor actually plays in the band, and
That's
he keeps inviting us. So I'll do that. But then on Sunday, Tiny Beautiful Things is playing at Stages Theater, and they're going to do a talk back after the show. And they've invited me to moderate the talk back. So I'm going to go and see the show at 2 o'clock at Stages, and then stay and do the talk back. Stages Theater. We don't talk enough about them. They're a great organization here.
They are fabulous. And if on Saturday you have little ones and you're looking for something fun to do, Earth Day Bash at the Children's Museum Houston, where kids will be able to celebrate Earth Day with a range of nature-inspired activities, fun experiments, and more. And this event will be obviously at the Children's Museum Houston, and that's from 9 to 5 p.m.
What is that?
What is that?
Does that mean we're done?
Are they playing us off? Ernie, did you get played off last night?
No, I didn't know what to say, so I was goofy and
Okay,
said
well, you
nothing.
need to say a quick little thank you, Ernie.
Thank you, Ernie.
No, come on.
No, I want to thank everyone here at the station. You know, oftentimes those of us in front of the mics or behind the camera, or in front of the camera, I should say, we get all the attention, but it's only because you see us and hear our voices. There's an entire team that brings us to you every single day, and so any win for any of us is a win for all of us. So thank you to all of you folks that we work with, and thank you to listening to us.
And, well, the music is playing us off. That brings us to the end of this week of Hello Houston. We want to thank you for supporting us, watching, and listening. Don't forget, you can go 888-909-0887. We'll be back on Monday with more conversations. In the meantime, you can catch the best of Hello Houston Saturdays at 1 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. right here on News 88.7. Have a great weekend. So far today, you've heard about our city council being postponed, about a major immigration ordinance. We've also spoke with the Texas Agricultural Commissioner, Sid Miller, about, a fuel tax and him wanting to postpone it. These conversations can't happen without your support. We can't keep you informed without you going to houstonpublicmedia.org/donate and donating, whether that's a monthly gift of $5, $10, $1,000. We want to thank you for always supporting us here at Houston Public Media. And you can go again, pick up that phone, 888-909-0887.
Sometimes we'll talk about about transformative gifts of $1,200, $1,500, or even $5,000 a year. But if those numbers seem really high to you, remember, you can also do them in a monthly membership, and that may become more manageable. The important thing is that if you can give, please do so now. This is our first on-air campaign of 2026, and it's going to reveal how much we can do for you for the coming year. That's because of how much you can do for us right now. I've got to tell you, we're running short on time. We've only got a couple more hours left in the drive. We're just a little bit shy of our goal. We've got to get there. We've got to meet it. And this is the moment where action matters most. Please go online. Give monthly right now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or by calling 888-909-0887.
And this fundraiser really is a turning point. I'll set up this nonprofit media organization to plan more stories, projects, investigations, and series about all sorts of topics that we're going to cover. The World Cup, our nation's 250th anniversary, ICE activity in our communities. Lots happening. You want to stay informed, so go houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887. And thanks.
Thanks for listening to Hello Houston. Join us every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to talk all things Houston. The Hello Houston production team includes Garrett Bowman, William Menjivar, Jen Altide, Todd Holslander, and Jim Kavachi. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at houstonpublicmedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
I think the nature of the accusations against Swalwell and the fact that Gonzalez admitted to misconduct would have made it really easy for a lot of members to vote them out.